Good morning, everybody. I'm T.A. Walker from WPTV News Channel 5, and this is Victoria Lewis. She's digital producer.
Good morning, everybody. We're here to bring you guys the 5 things to know this morning.
And it's probably more than 5, but, you know, it's semantics, right?
In broad categories. We'll count it as 5.
So we're really excited at Channel 5 because today is the beginning of the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. And Victoria, I don't know if you can turn down your volume, but I'm getting myself feedback on myself.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Thank you. The opening ceremonies are happening right now, but if you're not catching them, no worries, right?
Yes, so they are live on WPTV right now, but we know not everybody wakes up as early as we do. These ceremonies started at 7 a.m. due to the time difference. So there will be a replay tonight at 7:30 p.m. on WPTV as well. And you're going to be able to, get to see everything right from the beginning without having to set an early alarm clock. So that'll be fun.
That is going to be fun, but what we're really excited, well, I don't know about you, Victoria, but we have a brand new set that's debuting tonight. We've been all working in little alcoves throughout the building for the last 6 weeks, and behind little posters of West Palm Beach and the skyline there. And so now there's this beautiful new set. To me, it looks like the Star Trek Enterprise. It's blue and then it turns to red. And so tonight we're launching a 7 p.m. show, which with Jay and Hani Rodriguez and myself, I'll be on it too. And we're really excited about this 7 o'clock newscast. So you'll do 6 o'clock, then nightlies at 6:30, and then we're at 7, and then the Olympics start at 7:30. So it's kind of a cool deal. What are some things we need to know, Victoria, about the Olympics?
Sure. So right now they are doing the opening ceremonies, and you will notice there's nobody in the stands. There will be no spectators for any of these events here in the Olympics. That's just kind of a call that was made due to the coronavirus. Otherwise, things are going to go on mostly as normal. Sporting events already started over the last 2 days. In this weekend, we're going to get some of the big ones, swimming, gymnastics, the ones that, the U.S. always shows up pretty well for. So it'll be a really fun weekend with that.
Yeah, Emma says, I hope the world is ready for the Olympics. I read that many athletes have the virus. I know that the gymnastics...
100 people, not all athletes, but 100 people associated with the Olympics have tested positive so far. And unfortunately, that does mean they're out of the games. There's really not much they could do there.
Yeah, and on top of that, I heard this morning on NPR that the gymnastics team has moved to a separate hotel. They don't want to take any risks. They've kind of quarantining themselves there in Tokyo. Only 25% of the population in Japan is vaccinated. So that is adding to the systemic problems with hosting the games. So there's a lot going on. Everett is checking in this morning from Palm Springs, Florida. And then Nina, you're watching from the Ukraine. That is insane. Good morning to you. Good to see you this morning. Yeah, but we're really excited about the Olympics. We have so much stuff coinciding at the same time. The Olympics, the new 7 p.m. show, the new set, which I can't wait for you to see because it looks like we're on a big time network. It looks better than network. That's all I have to say.
Or the Starship Enterprise, one of those two.
All that, all the things. Zen says, good morning from Central Florida, y'all. Good morning to you as well.
Up there this weekend.
And Justin is always checking in from Michigan. And then, yes, good morning from the Ukraine. We'll do that again.
What time is it there?
Probably, yeah, I would think so, right?
Yeah.
New this morning, let's play the story that we aired last night, if you don't mind, Victoria. And there we go.
2 young lives, never to be forgotten. Tonight, a permanent memorial is in place nearly 6 years to the day a pair of Tequesta teens disappeared at sea.
Austin Stefanos and Perry Cohen were never seen again, but the impact of this case remains today. Todd Wilson with the story now from Jupiter Inlet.
Ready? There's a countdown and then the unveiling of the statue at the Jupiter Inlet. The siblings of Austin Stefanos do the honors as a large crowd looks on.
This was my idea of being able to get back and show them that we appreciate them.
William Stefanos says it's the Jupiter Inlet community that helped his family through their darkest times.
He really lifted us up at a time of need.
Back on July 24, 2015, nearly 6 years ago to the date, that Austin Stefanos and Perry Cohen disappeared. Both boys were 14 years old when they went on a fishing trip. The only things recovered were the boat and iPhone in 2016 off of Bermuda. Work through Austin Blue Foundation began in 2017 to create this lasting legacy.
I do miss him every day. Every moment of every day I miss my son, and I always will.
Their foundation continues to push for safer boating practices. Both parents say there has to be something meaningful to come from this tragedy, so they want this statue to serve as a reminder.
We're honoring him by giving back, by doing boating safety classes, by trying to get bills passed.
Now their focus through the Austin Blue Foundation looks to save others. At Jupiter Inlet, Todd Wilson, WPTV News Channel 5.
The boy's disappearance influenced a boating safety bill signed into law by former Governor Rick Scott in 2017. A discount in registration fees for boaters who have a personal locator beacon in their vessel became permanent. Also known as an EPIRB, the technology can quickly locate a boat in distress and lead rescuers to it. The vessel the boys were on lacked a GPS device. Under the law, the reduced registration fees were meant to encourage boaters to buy life-saving equipment without requiring them by law.
Thank you, Kelly, Todd, and Michael for that. And something that to go a little deeper in depth that happened. I was there. You saw me. You may have seen me in the red shirt in the shot. We were doing a Facebook Live broadcast during that ceremony yesterday, and really some interesting things came out of the onstage presentations. Our Congressman Brian Mast wasn't able to be there, but he had a recorded message. He and all the other elected officials that were there and the other people that were there are trying to get something called an Austin alert. And it's like an Amber Alert, but it's for people that are distressed out at sea. And that is in DC right now. And they're trying to work on that bill. It's called an Austin Alert, like an Amber Alert.
Okay. So we get like a little alert on our phone, says Austin Alert, and we would know like if we are out on the water to keep an eye out.
Exactly. It's just a way to communicate like a missing person, like an Amber Alert, like a missing child. This would be an Austin Alert. And it was interesting last night because very rarely, we've talked about this with the building collapse in Miami, but very rarely as of late do we see all of our leaders working together to...
Almost never.
Right. And so you could see this group of individuals on stage last night trying to get legislation passed, get this statue created, get this statue placed at the Jupiter Inlet. And they were all doing it together. And it took 6 years. But really the parents and the other people that spoke last night were saying, hey, look, we want people when they go out the inlet to see this statue or when they're coming in and think about boater safety. And it'll serve as a reminder as people leave that inlet. That inlet at times is very hard to navigate because of the rapidly incoming tides or outgoing tides. So you have to be really careful in that little area. And it's appropriate that the statue is right there. There was a lot of misinformation yesterday about Austin and Perry's statue. They thought it was going to be Austin and Perry. It is two children that are portrayed there. And there's a lot of also misinformation. Why would you let 14-year-old boys go out on their own on a boat? Well, that's pretty common in Jupiter. That is kind of part of the culture. That is
definitely. My brothers and I were out on boats, at least like 15, 16 on by ourselves, I mean, accidents can happen no matter how prepared you are, no matter how many times you've been on a boat, you have to be prepared.
And, I remember the story happening, in 2015, and we played that song, When I See You Again, every hour at the top of the hour. Because the community, we all were rooting for them. You have to keep in mind, this story was on the Today Show for weeks.
I was in Texas, and I still heard about it every day at that time, even though, I'm from here originally, so I always pay attention to local news. But, on our Texas station, we were running it, and everybody's hearts really went out to those boys, even though, they were so far away.
As this, if I could, it's not coming up. Can you pull up Cindy?
Yep, it's up now. They just bought one. That's great. I mean, guys, you know, of course it's money, but it's so much simpler and safer to have it. You never know when you're going to run into just, you know, rough weather or another boat. So it's great that you guys have that.
Says, hi, son. Got a second with mom.
Oh, so supportive.
Lori Clark Page says, God bless them and their families.
Yeah.
And Justin has a good point. I believe everyone should learn from this story. And to be honest with you, that's what the parents are hoping for. That is how they're channeling their grief, is hoping that everybody will learn from this tragedy. And, you know,
We never have to revisit a story like this again. I hope we never do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, it was great to see all the Jupiter police officers and the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue out there last night. They, the fire rescue had their big truck and had a ladder all the way up in the air, and then this giant American flag was waving in the clear, crystal blue sky along the ocean. And then the national anthem was played at the beginning of the ceremony. It was just really, it was a spectacular event, and everybody did a nice job. And Congressman Mast had a message that was played. He wasn't able to be there, but he did take the time to record that. And it was a good day for Jupiter. And as we call it in Jupiter, Jupes.
Okay, I hadn't heard that one, but I'll believe you.
Oh, you know, Stephen Lueva, our meteorologist, making fun of me last weekend on the air because I called it Jupes. And he's like, who calls it Jupes? I'm like, we literally have bumper stickers with ovals that says Jupes that are on everybody's car. So it's a thing. Can you move on to the next topic? I got a cough.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, the situation going on in Cuba. Our own Hani Rodriguez, she shared her story about escaping from Cuba when she was just 8 years old. Her sister was...
If it weren't for incredible courage and sacrifice, life wouldn't look anything like this for Hani and her family.
I look at what's happening in Cuba now, and I think, had my parents not left, that's where I would be now. Look at what a difference. Oh, this is all of us in Cuba.
In 1998, Hani's mom and dad decided to escape the communist island, to risk it all to be with family in Miami. Hani was 8, her sister Ava only 3.
From what my dad's told me, they bought a part of a boat, basically the shell, in secret. It had holes everywhere. My dad says they had to patch it up. It was like a makeshift wooden boat with car parts and whatever else they could find.
They took off from the north shore of Cuba and had problems almost immediately.
You know, within a couple hours, the engine failed.
And we don't have idea where we're going.
There were 12 people on the makeshift boat, including 4 children.
I do remember my parents put us in an inner tube lifesaver, if you will. Mm-hmm. My sister and I in the middle of the night, and you know, we could hear the adults having the conversation. If we don't make it through the night, they need to be in this.
So all of those tubes were put just on the children.
Only for the children.
Only for the children.
Estábamos amarrados con soga. Mm-hmm. We were tied up with ropes so that the inner tube wouldn't, so that, you know, we wouldn't be separated from the inner tube if we would flip over, if the boat flipped, or if, you know, it took on water.
In the middle of the ocean, no land in sight.
And the waves were big.
You see on the top, and then you see the boat and take it like a come down, like a straight down. And I say in the next one, maybe the boat is broken because you see it, and the water is very, very dark.
It's a big ocean out there. When you're in it, it's scary.
After 3 days at sea, they were so close, a couple hundred feet from shore. But because they had not made it to dry land, Hani and her family were sent back to Cuba under the terms of the wet foot, dry foot policy regarding Cuban refugees. Hani's mom says they were interrogated and threatened.
Como la custodia de tus hijos.
That she was going to lose custody of us.
The family stayed together, but was told not to try to leave again. 5 months later, they did, this time on a motorboat.
We knew something was strange because we're never at the beach late in the night.
When Hani seen the boat again, oh my God, I never forgot that face.
They left with 25 people on board.
That trip got complicated because water started coming in the boat.
because the engine is broken.
And water
And
starts
another
coming.
one is not working.
The boat starts taking on water, and we're literally with our hands just trying to, with shoes, with caps. People were trying to throw water out.
Miraculously, out of nowhere, a beacon of hope.
By the grace of God, there was a lighthouse. So we got off the boat and climbed up that lighthouse.
And
And
stayed
just
there.
to wait and just to stay and figure out what we were gonna do.
Safe for the moment, it took many hours for another boat to arrive and pick them up.
And made it to Big Pine Key. It was sandy, so that felt victorious in a way, because we're like, oh my gosh, we made it.
This time, the wet foot, dry foot policy was on their side.
The Coast Guard sent the helicopter to take it up in the basket, 2 people in the basket and taken to the helicopter.
Hani says it took years to fully understand why her parents were willing to risk everything back then.
It wasn't until I became a mom and went back to Cuba, and we saw how people live there. And I told her, if you left me here, I would have never forgiven you. I would have rather drowned than be without my mom.
As a mom now, I can only imagine how you feel about what she did and your dad.
I don't know how they did that. I don't think I have the courage to ever do something like that. But my mom, you inspire me. She's my superhero. She's my super mom.
You must have such a different take on life in general and freedom in America and just not taking anything for granted.
I think that's the most important thing, is so grateful to be able to live in a country where I went to a university, the first in my family to go to college, where I can study what I want to study, where I can freely say what I think, where I can be with family, where food isn't scarce, where my kids I get to watch grow up. Oh my gosh, this is life. This is freedom. You don't have life. We didn't have life in Cuba. I just didn't realize that. You're alive, but you don't have a life.
It really puts it in a different perspective when you know the person in the story. Hani is just a great individual and very kind, and to hear her plight of leaving a nation that is not working for their family and they're fleeing is a very inspiring. And there's more to the story, because
we're so grateful for her sharing that with us. That was so personal.
Absolutely.
But she really explained it in a way that we never could through research or however we do, and really help to humanize the conflict that's going on.
Yeah. And I hadn't seen that before, so it's really it's a raw emotion here. Yeah, but it is a beautiful story. You're right. But let's move on to something a little different. New this morning, the NFL is warning that COVID-19 outbreaks could lead forfeits in the 2021 season, right?
Yeah, the NFL is encouraging the players to get vaccinated, but it's not requiring that for them to continue to play. But there are a lot of rules for those that are not vaccinated. They're kind of separate at team meals. They're a little bit separate at practices. They have to wear masks around. And part of that also comes with, what happens if they do get COVID. Last year when that happened, if there was too many key players who had COVID, they did their best to move the game. That's why we had those weird Tuesday, Wednesday night games. But that's money lost for the NFL. So they told them this year, if you're unvaccinated and you do get COVID and it causes your team to miss a game, say it's like quarterback, just somebody really irreplaceable, they will not receive their pay for that week. The game may not be rescheduled, it may be forfeited. And that could just, when there's only so many games, I think there's only 16 in the regular season, forfeiting one game could really change the whole outcome of your season. But they did say if you are vaccinated and do test positive for COVID, that they are going to try a little harder to rework the schedule. But, as you and I know, it's hard to just be like, hey, we need Tuesday night now for the NFL game. Just move all your stuff. That's
Is that good. Okay? Absolutely. I want to move on to what's happening this weekend. There's a lot of cool stuff. Did you ever watch Saved by the Bell, or is that too?
I've heard of it. Yeah, a little before my time.
Well, the principal on that was Mr. Principal Belding, and I didn't realize he is in the Dirty Head video for.
Vacation. I love that song.
I can't play it because we'll get pinged, but I can like show you the video. So the Dirty Heads and Sublime with Rome, which is speaking to the '90s child in me.
Sounds like a concert I'd enjoy.
Yeah, it's reggae. It's the Dirty Heads are very confusing to me because I was at Sunfest, I think in 2019, maybe 18, and they were playing the main Ford stage, and there was nobody there. And
Really?
10 minutes, you show up 10 minutes early to take photos. They came on stage, and out of nowhere, the place was packed. I'm like, where did all these people come from? Like, they weren't there before, but they got there at the last second. And I'm like, God, these people are, they have to be something incredible. And they are. They're going to play in my neck of the woods, Abacoa Town Center. It only costs $40, and it's Sunday night. And what's kind of great, but probably not good for the promoter, is that you really don't even have to go to the amphitheater to hear the music. You can be down by Jumbie Bay, JJ Muggs, having a drink, and being waited on and not being in a crowd. And you can hear the music. It just depends on what your cup of tea is. And
TA's life hacks over here.
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you want to go have a cocktail and not be in a crowd, you can do that.
Not pay $20.
$40, yeah.
Or $40 for the cocktail. I'm talking like this place is always like $20 for this little tiny rum and coke.
For sure. So that's a Sunday at 5:00. Tickets start at $40 plus tax and fee. And then, do you know Sal the Voice Valentini?
Not familiar.
He was on America's Got Talent, and Heidi Klum gave him a golden buzzer, and I think he ended up becoming second place. Don't quote me on that. But
I'm asleep before all those shows start, but yeah sounds right.
Right, same. But he's been on he's been on the station, he's been on my show, he's been on our Facebook several times for the Feast of Little Italy, because he does that kind of Italian croning, that kind of flawless vocals, larger than life. He's a dork. I love him. He is going to be at the Boca Black Box tonight. Tickets start at just over $46 plus the tax and fee. And then moving on, this one is from the Latin version of The Voice. Jerry is known for being on La Voz. Is that how you would say that?
Sure.
If you speak Spanish, help me out with that. He'll be performing during Latin nights at Avocado Cantina outside of downtown Palm Beach Gardens tonight at 8:00, running through 11. I guess they do these Latin nights every Friday. So that's a pretty big get. So we're excited about that as well. Justin's like, oh, yeah. He did come in second place. He was awesome. And then he said, oh, my God, wow, Saved by the Bell. Talk about a show I watched a lot growing up. Same. I mean, you did, so when I was a kid, you could only watch cartoons on Saturdays. So it was like you got up early. The parents weren't up. You watched cartoons. And then about 10, Saved by the Bell came on. It might have been later here on the Eastern time zone, but 10 Central. And then NBC aired Saved by the Bell. So it's definitely a show that's part of my childhood. So it's cool to see him in the Dirty Heads video. And this one sounds really cool. It's Bruce in the USA. Not born in the USA, play on words. Bruce in the USA. He's going to be a tribute show tonight in Sunrise. Tickets start at $37 plus the tax and the fee. And then the last event we have, I'm not changing the titles as I'm doing this, so I'm sorry. There's Sal the Voice, there's Jerry, there's Bruce, and now comedian Ron White. And this is more of a wah-wah. He is sold out. He completely sold out all his shows. I was talking to Renee Hart on Wednesday night. She's the partner there that runs Copper Blues and the Palm Beach Improv. And she's like, I think she said, don't quote me on the exact numbers, but she says she's only allowing 350 people in the auditorium, and she's thinking about bumping up the numbers. But if you're selling out shows, I can see why you'd like to do that. So just a couple of reminders. We have a new set debuting tonight, which probably means more to us than to you, but like we're excited about it.
Exciting for us, yeah. But and if you're not at one of those shows tonight, you can catch the Olympics on there in our new 7:00 show, 7 p.m. and then 7:30 we'll be replaying the opening ceremonies. If you guys didn't feel like waking up at 7 a.m. with us, so that was super fun. But it was a really powerful ceremony. There was a lot of symbolism to it. It was really great to have the Today Show host kind of take you through it. So that's going to be replaying at 7:30.
Which I appreciate because, when the Olympics were in, I think it was
Beijing.
Yeah, Ashley Walters did reporting for us on Cool 105.5 when I worked on Mo and Sally, and it was nice to get the delayed reporting. Like sometimes you don't want things to be instant on your phone, right? You want to experience it. So it's nice to have that opportunity to experience it when you're not at work or you're not getting ready for work. So I appreciate
when you're really awake.
when you're really awake and probably want a cocktail and just enjoy the whole festivities. So
and
guys,
there were a lot of subtle things that were like so fun in the ceremony. I feel like people could enjoy a lot more at 7 p.m. than 7 a.m.
This person says, is this really WPTV News? Why is this guy still talking?
Because we like them. That's about it.
I love it when people write what they think and they don't have any sense of decency. That's so nice. You're so cool. No, it's not
Eddie,
news.
sweetheart.
It's what's going on in the world, and that's why we're talking. And you have the opportunity, Evie, to just scroll past. All right, everybody, be nice to each other and have a great weekend. Take care.
Stay safe out there.